I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Board of Leavenworth County Commission. I'd like to ask them to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have a moment of silence before we're going to sit.
Would you prefer to stand?
I don't care.
Okay.
As long as we have a moment of silence.
All right. At this time, we was going to ask for a moment of silence, and I think Commissioner Klemp and myself, and I'm sure Commissioner Holland would to ask for you to pray for us. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming here today, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know everybody's busy. This time, we'd like to start with public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, we'll move on to, excuse me.
I'll give everybody else a chance.
Well, I usually have to invite you.
Sometimes I ain't here.
This is James Berry. I'm 34872 North 187th Street. And that's pretty much what my point is. We got a requirement that people get up here and give their name and address, and I think the address part is preventing some of your people from the public from coming up here and talking, because they may be a victim of crime and don't want to give out their address. Because of that, they don't want certain people knowing where they live. Just something I thought maybe you guys ought to address that a little bit and take it and put it in your hip pocket and think about it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Anyone else wishing to speak? Then we'll close this portion of the public comment and go on to administrative business. Mr. Lawfrey, do we have anything?
I will be asking to add 2 executive sessions to the end of today's meeting after our quarterly meeting with the department heads.
Okay.
That would be to discuss non-elected personnel, and we have be able to provide information.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Holland?
I wish to make a statement concerning the actions that were taken by this board against HR Director Tamara Copen and her HR department last Thursday, October 12th. Without any prior discussion in open session or executive session, Mr. Klemp, in his very first board meeting as a newly appointed commissioner, made a motion to HR begin reporting to the county clerk instead of this board, to seal the HR department's doors and to change the department locks. The motion was quickly seconded by Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Smith and Klemp implied that they were taking this extreme actions against HR because they blame HR for the disclosure of personnel document to Channel 41 News concerning David Van Paris. Commissioner Smith, however, has been aware for over 3 weeks that HR had nothing to do with the Channel 41 News report. The board has been repeatedly informed that HR was not involved in the Channel 41 story. To clear the air once and for all, I'm going to tell you how Channel 41 obtained termination letter. Over 3 weeks ago, former County Commissioner Dennis Bixby told me that he went to Channel 41 for an interview. He said he took several folders containing documents that he received when he was a county commissioner. Including the documents, they were subject of the Channel 41 news story about David Van Paris. Commissioner Bixby said he later realized that he had mistakenly left the folders in the conference room at Channel 41. I immediately notified County Administrator Mark Lawfrey of my conversation with Commissioner Bixby. Mr. Lawfrey shared this information with Commissioner Smith and Graber and publicly stated during the September 28th board meeting that the confidential personnel document had not been leaked by a current employee. Yet Commissioner Smith, with full knowledge of this fact, and now Commissioner Klemp, has been responsible, damaging, and defamatory accusations and taken harmful and reckless actions against entire HR department and its director, Tamara Copeland. During October 12th meeting, the Commissioner Klemp also implied that HR was responsible for any leak of personnel information. This might be valid perspective if HR employees were the only ones who ever accessed personnel information, but that is simply not the case. In this case, Commissioner Bigsby, Commissioner Graber, and I received a copy of the personnel records at issue during an official meeting concerning county councilor, an employee who directly supervised HR, however, who we directly supervise. HR, however, cannot control what commissioners does with confidential documents. Following such meetings, I can personally attest to the fact that we frequently do not return documents that we received during the meeting with department heads. The action taken by the board raised several other issues I would like to mention as well. First is my understanding that the October 11th day before the board meeting, the deputy building and grounds, the person responsible for changing building door locks, was contacted and instructed to be at work so as to something was coming up. This alone suggests to me that the Commissioner Klemp Smith discussed their intentions against HR well in advance of October 12th board meeting, a blatant violation of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. I believe there should be an immediate investigation into who contacted the deputy building and grounds on October 11th and their reason for doing so. Second, in violation of the board's instructions that no one was to enter HR's office for the remainder of October 12th, the county clerk entered the office unescorted that very day. The deputy director of building and grounds entered the office on October 13th, also in violation of the board's order. This should also be investigated as the security measures the HR director put into place to protect county's official personnel records from unauthorized access have now been compromised. Lastly, the board's decision to require Director Copeland to report to the county clerk instead of this board is in direct and willful breach of Director Copeland's employment contract. Ms. Copeland's contract specifically provides that she will report directly to this board. I hereby make a motion to restore HR Director Copeland to the position and job duties set forth in her employment contract and return the HR and staff to the control of Director Copeland effective immediately. I also request that this board issue a formal apology to Director Copeland and entire HR department for this disrespectful, unlawful, and unfair actions taken by this board on October 12th. Additionally, I think we as a board need to make a sincere effort to set aside any personal agendas and get on with business of running this county in a professional, unbiased, fair manner, beginning with treating all county employees in a fair and respectful manner. Thank you.
Do you have a motion on the floor, Commissioner?
I do.
Dies of lack of a second. You do stand corrected. That was the first time I've ever heard that Commissioner Bigsby stole files from Leavenworth County Courthouse and gave them to the news crews.
Well, then,
So while we
Mark-
got the sheriff here, can we have him investigate that? But we've
Mark
got a theft
Lawfrey.
of files from the personnel.
I'd like to hear from Mark Lawfrey, because I definitely told you.
I have a question before we get into this. How much dirty laundry do we want to get into?
I can get into a lot if you want
Well, you
to.
Well, that's what you've done in the past,
That's what
so I
you've
guess
done in
you
the
can.
past. And that's what Mr. Bigsby has done in the past. You guys don't even know how to wash your dirty laundry. So,
Well, you don't even know what dirty laundry is
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
just created it.
yeah, that's good. Okay. He's requested it.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Long.
Did I not call you and tell you of this information?
Commissioner Holland did let me know about this information, and I did talk to Commissioner Graber about it before our meeting, and I thought I could talk to you, Commissioner Smith, maybe I...
You didn't mention a name, you said a former employee.
Well, okay.
So that was.
And so you take it upon yourself to blame HR.
So that was, what you're saying, that was a former employee?
Former commissioner.
Okay, so that was Mr. Bigsby, who still had,
Confidential information.
he felt that he should take it to Channel 41 and accidentally leave it behind. I think if I had something that was classified and should not have been revealed, I would not have taken it in the first place. So I recommend we go on with the meeting. That's going to die of lack of
All right,
second.
it already did. So,
Thank you.
Any other administrative business this time?
I would like to bring something up that I think Mr. Klimt just touched on, and that is the access to personnel files by the Board of County Commissioners. As a board, you have full access to those files. As a board, as a group, two or more.
Two or more.
And I referenced that in my letter.
And I've had the county counselor follow up on this since the leak of information, and once it was identified where we believe it came from. And he researched an AG's opinion for me and also state statutes, and it's very clear that as a board, you have access to that information, but individually you do not, and it is inappropriate to keep those files individually. And we've addressed that. We've made sure that HR is understanding that. We've passed that on to them at this point too. So I just want to be clear that I think we've addressed it internally, and that hopefully we will not have that issue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know why even two commissioners would need to be in somebody's personnel file, but that's my opinion.
One thing under the duties, it says the general direction of the board. We just passed on the general direction of the board to our county administrator and our clerk. That's all we did. So, okay. I have another list, but I would prefer, we've got lots.
Listen, we got a lot of people here
Yeah.
today, and we got department heads. We need
Right.
to kind of stay on schedule
That's good.
if we can. On the minutes, does anybody have any corrections on the
Two.
minutes? All right.
Two corrections. One is, I want to know if the clerk and the administrator met with the county clerk, because that was my statement.
Well, we did not meet with the county first.
Okay, all right, that's what I had.
That needs to be corrected
Corrected,
to
it's
the
administrator.
administrator. And the other one was down the line, it said Commissioner Klimt requested board meetings to be moved to Tuesdays 10 to 2 p.m., I think is what it said. And that should have been 12 p.m.
Okay.
That's all I have on the minutes.
Mr. Hall, do you have any corrections that you came across? And take a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
I'll second. Voting. Aye.
Nay.
Okay. All right. Do we have any OCDs today, Becky?
No.
Okay. Is our person here for the breast cancer proclamation?
Yes.
Oh, Mindy, I didn't see you back there. Mindy Sloan. Thanks for coming for this. As everybody's aware,
Would you like to have them come up?
yeah, could you? How are you today, Mindy?
I'm good. How are you?
Get moved in your house?
Yes.
All right.
Finally.
All right. Well, as everyone's aware, October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Board of County Commissioners has a proclamation by the Board of Leavenworth County Commission of Leavenworth County to all citizens of Leavenworth County greetings. Whereas it is one of the responsibilities of the County Commission of Leavenworth to recognize occasions of outstanding significance. Whereas about 1 in 8 U.S. women will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of their lifetime. Whereas in 2017, an estimated 252,710 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S. Whereas about 2,470 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in men in 2017. A man's lifetime risk of breast cancer is about 1 in 1,000. Whereas for women in the U.S., breast cancer death rates are higher than any other cancer besides lung cancer. Whereas education regarding breast cancer, early detection, strategies, and critical life-saving and preserving and protecting our family. Now, therefore, I, Doug Smith, Chairman of Leavenworth County Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of October of 2017 as Breast Cancer Awareness, and encourage all citizens, individuals to raise awareness to support research for breast cancer. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and affix the seal of Leavenworth County this 16th day of October 2017. And I know everybody in here knows, has either had a family member or knows somebody that's went through this. And I think it's very important that we bring awareness to this and encourage family members and friends to get checked out. You have anything to add to that, Mindy?
Nope.
Well,
Perfect.
thanks for taking your time to come here today. Mindy's with St. Luke's, and so we're glad to have you here and glad we could do this. Yes, sir.
Would you like the person to talk, Commission to review a picture of those?
I sure do, but I marked up this one.
What do you need?
Sure. Oh, up there.
You need a breast cancer form, clean one?
I got one. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, Mindy, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you.
She's actually married to my nephew, and I didn't know she was coming till today.
Well, Jennifer asked if any, because that's what she does, KU, but I'm glad she came. Not a Sloan relative.
Yeah.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay.
No, Steve Sloan.
Steve Sloan, okay. not Jim.
Mary Ellen would have been her.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
Thank
not-
you, Mindy.
It's not required, but you'll have to take the vote to approve that proclamation.
Oh, okay.
Also move.
I'll second it. Voting?
Aye.
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 And we'll bring up some more of that. Okay, City of Lansing's request, Mr. Lujan here also. Oh, Sarah's here. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We submitted a letter regarding 2 requests for McIntyre Road to you all, requesting assistance on one or both of the ad alternates. And first off, one thing that I do want to state, the City of Lansing does acknowledge that it would be a large improvement over the road that's there now. And since the project did come in $1.8 million under the engineer's estimate, we did want to ask for assistance on that. One clarification that I did want to make regarding Mr. Lujan's memo to you guys. I put the map from our master plan in there, and I suppose technically it could be classified as a local road, but that's only because when this was done several years ago, they were expecting an interchange there. I don't think anyone's expecting an interchange there in the next 20 years. You guys can see where I circled directly east of that area. It's considered a traffic way. So for all intents and purposes, the City of Lansing considers that a traffic way. So I suppose technically Mr. Lujan's letter may have been correct, but like I said, for all intents and purposes, we consider that a traffic way since we're not expecting an interchange there in the next several years. But like I said, we acknowledge it'll be a large improvement over what's there now. We appreciate the work the county staff has put into it, and we have a lot of respect for the county staff. But we did want to ask and open it up for questions if anyone has any.
Commissioner Flynn, it's your
Yes.
area.
Thank you. You know, as we've done the sales tax, got a light. Have we done the sales tax, each year, the presentations of what we're going to do, this was the first one we did. It was wonderful. The governments thought they had to sell it. They got out, Lansing said, economic development, street maintenance, Gilman's sewer interceptor, Eisenhower improvement, West Gilman, Leavenworth had good, Baser, Leavenworth County, and Tonganoxie. I've always missed Easton and Linwood. Come on, Easton, Linwood. I love you dearly. So there was no presentation from them, but everything I see involved with McIntyre, and it does say in one of these documents, and I got a lot of them, that you will pay for the upgrades. It says that. After 2012, there came a high school. Oh, high school. Sewer? No real sewer. Roads? No roads. Where did we put in roads into the program? Ken's going to get his park water, and that's probably good. But we're going to do McIntyre Road.
Oh,
We're going to do McIntyre Road. The real men started at Mount Muncie, and we see if we could take Dead Man's Curve at 60 miles an hour. But now we want to, and I go along with the 40-mile-an-hour road, not the 50, because I'll guarantee you there won't be anybody going 50 on it anyway. What I'm upset with, and I appreciate Lansing, I appreciate Leavenworth and the other cities, but there is we're not getting our share. There is no share in this except by all entities. All entities share. That's why I say I want to know what Easton wants, and I want to know what Linwood wants. We know what the big governments want. This is our money. Isn't your money. And it says in there, improvement to the road. And that's where we got off track for some reason. After 2012, and when the high school was built, somebody should have sat down and said, we better put DeSoto on this plan. We better put 4-H. This world is big. I noticed that right after we asked for a moment of silence, or I brought it up, even the president is going to do that now. It's amazing how everybody's following Leavenworth, because we are the oldest city in the territory and the oldest city in the state. So I cannot go long, but I do have a suggestion afterwards that I'm going to make. Is that my 5 minutes?
No, we did away with that, Commissioner.
Oh, we did, but I heard it. I didn't.
You're having a flashback.
So, but I have another suggestion that I'm going to bring up when everybody's through talking, and
Okay.
we'll go from there.
Commissioner Holland, you have any thoughts on this?
I do agree with you, Louis. This is a road project. This is not a sewer project. This is a road project. And the state actually says that this is not a arterial road. This is just and I don't see how we can fund this due to our sales tax. We put a sales tax out there, and the voters approved this sales tax for a certain purpose, and I think we need to stand behind that certain purpose.
Well, you're correct, Mr. Commissioner Holland. Any savings we have on these bids on these 3 sales tax projects, the roads, the money's going to go towards secondary roads, correct? Will it end up eventually making it to the secondary roads, whatever money we save?
That's what Public Works would like to see.
Well, that's what I'd like to see. And what I mean by secondary roads, I mean gravel roads. I don't know, Commissioner Klemp, it is your district. If you have gravel roads in your district, you have very few, but I'm sure, would you rather see the money spent on improving them or subsidizing the sewer sleeve?
Whenever everybody's through.
Okay, well, just threw it out there.
Yep.
I mean, I'm gonna go on record, I hate gravel roads, so any money that we can use to upgrade the gravel roads to a hard surface, I'm all for it. So, I guess I'm ready for your comments, Commissioner Klemp.
Chip and seal, it would have been hard service. $7 million, that's where we started. Engineer's base bid was 5.109. Line Weaver bid 3.31. Save theoretically $1,000,008. You're asking for 2 more inches of pavement. You're asking for a sewer sleeve, which comes to about 121,000. I'm not in favor of it. Chip and seal it, I'm in favor of it, but it isn't just going to be chip and sealed, it's just going to be short 2 inches. I would like to give you the 1.8 million, but we're going to control it. We're not going to let you have it because I didn't like the way after 212, somebody didn't come up with road. I've got your road plan, I got your plan. I mean, I'm up every night trying to come up with what I think is a good answer for what's going to happen. So I'm willing to give you the 1.8, but you got to have somebody else go with it. I can't dance by myself. And in that 1.8, we will control where it's going to go. I'm one of the biggest taxpayers in Lansing, and I don't get to vote on anything. It's the school system. And I don't like the way the city and the school district have handled that beautiful new high school. That road should have been prepared, should have been, in fact, it was on, I think, the next sales tax, as I say. As the sales taxes go on, it's just like, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The first one, I mean, it was great. The way everybody presented what they were going to do, Tonganoxie and Baser, they didn't succeed too well, I hate to say that. Lansing did good. Second was, Easton was the best, and Linwood was tied, and then Lansing came in, then Leavenworth. So what I'm going to do is, if I can get somebody else to go with me, is we'll give you the 1.8. You're going to ask us where we're going to spend it, where you're going to spend it, and we will have total control of it. And if we don't like where you're spending it, and you know where my options are, DeSoto Road, 147th Street. I just did not like the way the Lansing system, can't blame just the city, you can blame the school district. I did not like the way the system handled that new school. I don't live in Lansing, have nothing to do with the roads other than I'm a big taxpayer to the school district. So that's where I'm going to go. I move that we set aside the 1.8, whether you get part of it, all of it. I don't know what that bridge up there between, by the Catholic down, I don't know what that's going to cost. It may be just that bridge, I don't know, and the rest will kick back. But it's time for us to get on the secondary roads. We haven't given the secondary roads anything, and that's part of our obligation. All this money is ours. It doesn't belong to the cities, but we want to share when sharing is good. I don't think anybody disagrees. We may not be able to get 2 votes with every thought we come up with. We can live with that also. So that's going to be a motion that I'm going to make,
Okay.
that we set that aside. Where would that go, Ms. Clerk?
Well, we would just, we could earmark it in the sales tax fund as 1.8, or, because at this point, we don't have 1.8
Yes.
necessarily collected from the current sales
Right.
tax. That, in a couple of years, we could pull that from the sales tax and put it into
somewhere we have to get operating
Yeah,
on cash.
You would have control of it.
We just paid $750,000, wasn't that what it was, the interest? And that's a heck of a thing to pay, we haven't gotten anything done.
763.
763, out of 13.
No.
Okay.
So, you have anything on this, Commissioner
Well,
Bond?
I would like to make one little bit of information that staff has requested. It says, while we agree the sanitary sewer sleeve should be installed as part of the project, it is completely unrelated to an item road project. The city of Basel also asked for sanitary sewer sleeve on 147th Street. The city of Basel will be reimbursing the county for installation.
Right, I saw that.
Okay.
Good statement.
On your motion you're going to make, we had a cost savings on 147th and Baser. Are we going to offer the same thing to Baser? Any money left over, we're going to do that?
Don't know what I did with that sheet of paper. In case-
Well, David or Sarah can answer
Yeah.
how much the bids came in lower.
Yeah, we saw that. They did come in lower, but my point is, Lansing has to quit saying we're not getting our share. If anybody gets a share, it should be Leavenworth. If anybody gets a share. They're the biggest burner in of sales tax. Baser got, what is it, what did the road come in at? That was a good question.
Five.
About 5 million. Okay? 5 million goes to, 5 million goes down to Tonganoxie.
That's correct.
5 million plus 7.5 million go to Leavenworth. That's 12.5 million. Lansing gets, theirs is gonna be about 4 million, it ain't gonna be 3 point something, it's gonna be about 4 million when it's all over. We'll use that figure. Plus they get 7.5 million from Eisenhower. Now that seems to pass on by Lansing. They don't, ooh, we getting that? Yes, you got half that road. You got half that road. So you're getting $11.5 million. So Lansing is getting their share. And there's nothing in this about share. It's about what needs to be done. This county's got to come out of this rolling, because we're going to get a lot more houses. There's no getting out of that. But we've got to come out of this with sewer plans, road plans, everything that's going to really blend into how we're going to spend this money, because it belongs to the taxpayers. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. So your motion will be that the county will have to approve these funds to be spent if,
They will apply for funds when they have been accumulated.
right.
They're going to be on the cash, the cash isn't there right today. That's something we got to get into that operation. Government's got to get out of this bit of borrowing. What did we borrow? 20 million? Go ahead, Bob.
One more question that I disagree with you on, which is going to be quite frequently, I presume.
Well, you had to ruin that positive.
Yeah. Why do we give them 1.8 million? Why can't we have a pool and that every county or every city can come in and they can ask for this much money for this road project or this much money for this road project? Why do we have to take their 1.8 million and give them 1.8 million and then they come back and ask us? Why not put it in a pool?
Now, I'm going to have to erase that negative that you came out with that positive, and then you gave me a negative. I got to erase that out of there.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, Bob.
But where is that in the sales tax proposal that was passed by the voters?
The voters approved of McIntyre in 2012. What happened to 2013, 14, 15, 16? The people that are calling me, well, why are we doing McIntyre? Well, I'd like to know the history of why we're doing McIntyre, and I'd like to know the history of 179th Street. There's a lot of history I'd like to know. And I've been here 79 years, so I know quite a bit of history, but I'm getting some vibes from people that isn't history. It borders on political corruption. So, why are we giving them 1 point? We're not giving it to them, but Bob came up with a suggestion, and that's a good suggestion, Bob. I see that was positive.
Positive.
So, I would like to see some funds set aside, but not there now. We've got to accumulate those funds. We've got to quit borrowing.
I agree.
Well, I'll agree with Mr. Lawford just presented us with recent sales tax numbers.
I didn't get those.
Oh, yeah, if you would read his weekly report.
Where's the?
Oh, maybe you don't have a computer set up yet.
Yeah, I got a computer.
Well, Mr. Lawford gives
Well,
us
I
a weekly
do
report.
use
It's on his weekly.
Chinese board.
Here, I'll let you look at that. So, I guess, like I said, I mean, there were 3 road projects for the sales tax, and then we were going to take some money and use on the secondary roads. I don't want to take one dime away from improving gravel roads, but on Commissioner Holland's suggestion on putting a pool of money together, I would say anything that we collect above our estimates maybe could go into that, because we were exceeding our expectations on the
That's
sales
another-
tax
Isn't
collection.
it amazing what communication do?
That's exactly
up
what I
with
was
thought.
meant.
You know,
Was
Bob comes in with something, kicks it out with a negative, but that's all right. I still like pure and feeds, okay? And Doug comes up with another suggestion. Now, you guys may not be able to live with that, but I don't know why. Leavenworth is bringing you in a lot of money, and it isn't coming from your grocery store. It may be coming from Freddy's, I don't know. Freddy's is good. So,
Political corruption? Are you kidding me?
I didn't say you.
No, well, you implied Lansing. Let me tell you
No,
something, Mr.
I
Clinton.
didn't imply. Do
Can I
not
can I have
say-
the floor for a
No,
second?
do not say what I implied on corruption.
What did you
I
say
said-
that for then?
I said the roads. Now, you weren't involved with the road.
I
You
was
weren't
in-
there.
Can I answer?
You can answer, but don't accuse me.
Well, don't accuse us either. I was involved in the countywide sales tax come out. The reason we didn't ask you for the one by the high school is because we told the voters, we told all the voters, that's what we're going to do. What kind of government will go out there then change their mind after the voters approve something? Now, that high school, yeah, there's no doubt. I agree with you, Commissioner. That high school needs to be, that road needs to be fixed. And we appreciate anything you can do for us. But when we come up here to ask for something, we expect it to be civil. I've had Sarah and some of your staff come in, and I've had council members that weren't as civil, and I've apologized. Be civil to us. All we're doing is saying, can you help us with this road? If you can't, and you have your decision, because we don't have 5 county commissioners, only 3, then you do that,
And there
Louis.
you go with 5. See, now you're bringing up another subject.
It's a good
We haven't
subject.
even used the county administrator, which is what we're going to do.
Well,
We're
good.
using the county administrator. And we don't want to jump to 5 because Milwaukee or up in Minnesota, they have 24 city commissioners and 32 county commissioners. Now, we can go to that.
Have we been reading enough about the county commission lately? Don't you think 5 would help break out some of these
I
problems?
don't
Reverend?
think 5, and that's not the subject that you're here for. The subject you're here for is not to accuse me.
Or us?
I'm not accusing you, but somebody in the system. Now, nobody steps up and says, I did 179th Street, but there are a lot of people that take hits around this county, hits for, well, I left the folder on the desk to reveal information about a county employee. So that employee took a hit, okay? And if you don't know what a hit is,
Well, I do. See, there you go. Let's be civil. Let's talk
I
to
am
each
being
other,
civil.
communication.
I'm trying
Let's not
to
insult each other,
straighten Leavenworth
because it's
County
not.
out, and I want to do one of your roads, and you don't care about your road because after 2012, you never went to the people and said, or 2014 said, hey, what do we want to do out here on this road? Do we still want to do McIntyre? No, you didn't want to do McIntyre. But
We
you
not
did
want to do
McIntyre.
We
Did you
stayed
want-
on McIntyre. We've had your staff up there for a year talking about McIntyre.
That's right.
That's what the voters approved.
Totally
was
agree.
McIntyre.
That's what the voters did back on the last bond election.
Yeah, but all the voters did that. That's what we should stick with.
Stick with.
I agree.
I agree, and that's why I'd say we do the 3 road projects,
We're
And
doing the
money-
3 road projects.
And the
We're-
money left over, we need to spend it on our secondary roads. You do have secondary roads in your district, Commissioner.
I understand that.
You know, no, these are just on top of my head, 155th, south of Eisenhower.
Yep.
That road needs to be upgraded.
It sure
If you're
does.
gonna develop your water park and all that, and the Kim
Agreed.
Bernard Park, you need that road done.
But
Even
not-
127th Street off of McIntyre and then Gilman to tie and then go to
That's what we need to
K5.
do. But you need to do
Right.
the Soda
But
Road.
that's what but we're gonna, hopefully we'll do that with the monies left over. You know, and especially if the sales tax exceeds expectations, and Commissioner Holland's idea of having a pool there and cities can come and apply for stuff within the 3-mile jurisdiction or something, we could set something like that up. I mean,
Okay.
we don't want to hammer the details out right now.
No, can't have
But-
it.
No.
But with the recent sales tax collection results, I think that we're going to exceed expectations.
Well, I knew that way back when we did it.
Well,
You know, and I
but
mentioned that.
you can't,
Yeah.
you know, make that decision until you actually see the numbers.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with that being said, entertain a motion. We're going to make a motion on the request.
Yeah, to deny it. I move that we deny their request for doing the.
Yes,
Doing the 2 inches and the,
yes, in the sewer sleeve.
so I move that we deny their request.
Deny the request.
Is that a second?
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 Now, do you want to make another motion on the funds?
Yeah, I move that we set in a pool to be retained by, in the clerk's accounting of $1.8 million for projects to be presented from Lansing to Leavenworth County, and Lansing City to Leavenworth County, and we will be in control of the funds and monitor the requests.
I'll second that with discussion.
Okay?
Your motion, does that mean that no other county or no other city can request?
In that motion, yeah.
In that motion?
But somewhere you're going to have another motion, so that's beside the point.
Or should we just make it one motion?
I
that
think we
sort the
should make it
pool?
one motion and make it the pool.
You want
have a
to,
motion.
I'll make the
you
motion.
want to amend?
You have a motion. in a
Right.
second, so you
You'd have to rescind your motion.
Wait,
I'll rescind my second.
And I'll amend my motion to approve that the 1.8 million will be put in, no, you didn't like that originally.
Well, I'm just saying,
You
we had
wanted
a
the-
cost savings on Basers on
No, I
147.
meant, you didn't like it, you wanted it
But-
out of the income increase, but it
That's
would be that
correct.
anyway. Yeah.
But it's technically the same thing.
Yeah, I'll
And-
amend my motion to include putting the 1.8 million in a pool to be
And-
applied for by the cities. within
But
the
one
three-
thing I think we need to add to your motion, that
Okay.
these will be road projects, because that's what this
Yes.
tax money is for.
Yeah, we don't want to put their sewer down.
I mean, we don't, if we put their sewer in, their sewer, what do they call it? Sleeve,
Uh-huh.
then we would have to refund Baser's sewer sleeve, because Baser's going to pay for their sewer
Yeah,
sleeve.
we wouldn't have to, but it'd be the polite thing to do.
Well, I think it would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, so that's the amendment to the motion that be put into a general fund, and for staff to come back for roads only.
Okay.
Well, and that way we could, with staff, we could still do our gravel roads. And we still could do road through.
If I could,
Yes, sir.
I think there's a couple of things that we maybe need to take into consideration here. First of all, the sales tax question kind of anticipates that there might be extra proceeds towards the end that we could utilize for road projects throughout the county. What that dollar amount is, we won't know just yet, obviously. But the 1.8 you're talking about is based upon that this project is completed for exactly what it was bid, no change orders. We haven't even turned the first shovel of dirt out there, so I think that might be a little early on to
Right.
assume that it will be 1.8 million. Number two, we still have to go and do the Eisenhower project, which we haven't even finished the design completely on, and we don't know what that's gonna come in at. Hopefully, we'll get a good bid on it like we have these other projects, they'll come in low, but it could potentially come in higher. And so then, therefore, this money could be utilized to pay for that. So I think maybe the direction is good, that the money that's left over from these 3 projects be set aside for the projects like Commissioner Smith's talking about, that's supposed to go towards secondary roads. If those happen to be within the city, they want to come and make application for that, I think that's totally acceptable. But again, we won't know that until we actually finish the 3 primary projects, which is several years out.
Yeah, I'd feel better looking into this a little more before we adopt some policy on this, because I'm not feeling real warm and fuzzy about money being left over at the end of the 20-year sales tax to go toward the gravel roads. I don't want to wait 20 years.
I don't either.
So I just soon, but I mean, what we're exceeding expectations on the sales tax, I think that money could go into a pool.
And I even think Louis' idea for the 1.8 million going into this pool, because there's nothing to say that Public Works can't pull. We predict it's going to cost us $350,000 for this gravel road. Pull that out of the pool.
Right.
You know, there's nothing that says we can't do that. It's a road project. If Lansing comes to us and they say, well, we're going to need $500,000 to do this road, we've got the money in the pool, we can give them the money for that road project if the board votes for it.
Like on that bridge, somewhere I read something, and I read so much data.
You're talking about, was it D18? That sound right? D18?
It was sort of a feeling between Leavenworth County and Lansing, some kind of a,
Well, after you were in our office this morning, I started looking. I found an agreement from 2004. I haven't found the fully executed agreement yet. It did look like the county may have agreed to pay a portion towards that bridge.
Right.
I'll continue to search.
no.
Try to figure out what exactly went wrong.
You know
When,
what?
you mean when the Lansing took that road over, we put some money toward the bridge?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's correct.
That is, yeah, we did.
I don't think we
I
gave
hope
them-
it's drawn a lot of interest, because it wouldn't have been enough to.
No funds have been exchanged.
Do we know what the replacement of that is? Just curious. Roughly.
No, I haven't.
It'd be $1 million bridge, wouldn't it?
What
750,000.
what year was that bridge?
That bridge was constructed in 1975. It's about a 30-foot span. I would guess, probably at least $500,000 project.
And it's
And why?
40%, you think, is the rating?
The last inspection that the county did was in '06, and it was in the 40s, I believe, at that time.
We inspected it this year. We did some preventative maintenance, so it's safe. It's not in any danger of any structural issues at this time. But yeah, in the next
I guess what
10,
I'd
20
like to
years.
ask you, Tim, is why hasn't this bridge come forward before? Is it funding for the bridge on your part?
I think our game plan was, we're doing the first phase of DeSoto right now because we have federal grant dollars for about a third of that, and then that would take place as the second phase of that project, which will be the bridge and then the steep hill going up. So we're expecting to do that maybe in 8 to 10 years, possibly. Could be beyond that. But like I said, we knew we wouldn't be able to do it in the next 5 years or 8 years.
Okay.
So that's
I
why
just-
we did some
Yeah.
preventive maintenance.
I was
this year.
curious to see why it hadn't been done.
Yeah.
So,
But also, it wouldn't be a 2-lane bridge. It'd be a 4-lane bridge.
3.
Okay, 3. I go with 3.
I guess Mayor and our staff, do you feel Federal Highway and KDOT's going to be more generous in the future? Or?
Well, back then when we made that in 2004 and 2005, as a city administrator, the state had 85% matching funds.
Right,
Yeah.
Well,
right.
the state's not like that anymore.
Well,
so-
do you see it coming back, though? I mean,
No, I don't.
you don't
Not
see it coming
saying-
back?
Yeah.
What about Federal Highway? Do you see it getting better?
I do not.
Really? I guess I'm the glass half full guy. But that's another thing, like I said, if we do put this program or this pool together, I mean, maybe that would be part of it. If there was a matching fund or something, we could pull out of that instead of 100%.
Right.
You know, that would rate the project
Matching fund.
higher.
Matching
That's
fund.
why I'd like some more time to come up with that, but
How much time you want?
I'd like to at least meet with our staff on it and get some, pick their brain on how to set up a pool and to make it fair. Because like I said, Basers should be in here asking for their money that was saved on 147th Street also.
Okay.
But if we had a pool and we didn't set dollar amounts to it, cities could come in here and apply.
Because actually Baser asked for money for a
Sleeve.
road. Well, they asked for the sleeve, but they also asked for a $660,000
But it wasn't a road that existed, right?
Right.
It was a road we was gonna be putting in brand
Right.
new through.
Right,
being-
but they did ask for that road project.
Yeah, because of the same.
And there was ample money to do that road project.
Don't make it hard.
Well, I want to fix the roads we got instead of building new ones. I mean, creating new ones. I
Well,
wanna-
according to Baser, this road would impact them by building 300,
Oh, you could make the
I
numbers
mean,
work.
tremendous amount of houses.
You could make the numbers work.
Yeah.
You could. But selling it to the public that's out there eating dust and driving in the mud.
I agree. I want gravel roads.
What's the chairman's desire here? Where do you want to go? You want to pull my motion so we can,
Well, I don't want to do a knee-jerk reaction here and come up with a pool with numbers and.
well, we can talk
and-
for hours and then I'll be upset.
I know, you're gonna be upset anyways. But, I mean, I like the idea of putting the pool together, Commissioner Holland's idea, and I like maybe using the money that's above
Okay.
estimates that are collected. Like I said, we're exceeding expectations,
Mhm.
and I'd like to maybe use that. But any
Well,
thoughts?
if it's in the pool, will this make a booking nightmare for the clerk?
Clerk, could you answer that?
Well, I think Commissioner Holland has a great point, really you all do. We don't have an extra $1.8 million in
Right.
collection yet. And
Right.
so, in years to come, you will have that choice on where you want to put that money. I, at this point, don't see where a motion would be necessary because we don't have the collections at this time. And that sales tax money, as Mr. Clem said, is the county's money, and it will be your decision, the board's decision on how that money is spent in the future
On road projects.
on road
On road
projects.
project.
Can I remove
I don't
my
wanna
motion
let
without
that
hearing
slip
you in
by.
a second? Can I?
Commissioner
remove-
Holland already removed his second.
I remove my motion.
Yeah.
That would be a perfect course.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Can we set up a date to meet? Mr. Lowry, would you, excuse me,
That's fine.
add an agreement with the board? Can you set up a date where we can get together with the department heads?
Certainly, we need to set up a work session to discuss this further.
Yes.
And I appreciate the clerk's input there because to fund this pool right now. would
We'd just be
require the
putting an
issue-
account there with nothing in it.
Well, we would have to issue debt.
Oh, no.
They said 8 to 10 years.
That's fine. But yes, we can set up a work.
Okay, all right.
Well, we will get back to Mark regarding the council's decision on the sleeve and the extra 2 inches of asphalt on our end. And beyond that too, I do want to compliment Dave, Sarah, and Mark, and Dave. At the staff level, we really appreciate their professionalism and being able to disagree without being disagreeable. So we do really want to compliment your staff on this project. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, thank you. All right.
Right.
You need that?
Well,
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I can make another copy, that's in my email.
Oh, okay.
That's yours. Okay, all right. We are ready for department head and elected officials quarterly meeting. Are you right? I guess I'll start. Everybody doing okay on budgets? Anybody got concerns on making it to the end of the year on budgets? Everybody's good shape on that? And 2008, we done a pretty good reduction in force and a lot of county staff. Were you here then, Commissioner Hall? Were you here in 2008?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No.
No, Bob.
Okay. Well, anyway.
I'm in here too long.
We did a reduction in force, the recession kind of hit, and of course, property values went down, and we were very concerned at the time. And like I said, we did some reorganization and actually done away with some jobs. I don't know if the department heads left them slots on their organization chart and to be filled at a later date. We're doing a little better now. I didn't know if any department heads felt that they needed to put them positions back in their org chart, or if they were, or I guess just wanting to hear from anybody if they're understaffed, if their department is understaffed, and if we need to look at maybe filling some of them positions again, or is it you feel that you're overstaffed, I guess. I don't think any department's overstaffed, but I do know it was a pretty big hit when we had to do a reduction in force in 2008, so I guess you can get with Mark when you meet with him on there and go over that.
County lived though, didn't it?
They did. They did.
Amazing how somebody
It
can
was,
pick up.
but like I said, it was some reorganization, you know, some departments combining, stuff like that. And I guess, Mr. Miller, how's your health assessment thing working? Are you getting enough people, or you need some more people?
We have about 20 appointments available out of the 150.
Okay. Well, I was holding out to make sure the employees, the real workers, get checked out.
We've been stagnant for probably about 5 days.
Okay.
After I put out the last, we got a couple of stragglers. We still need to fill it.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess department heads can try to encourage their employees to do that. I think it's a very good program, and encourage everyone to get their flu shots and everything. I think we want to keep our county staff as healthy as we can. So, Commissioner Holland, you have anything for staff?
I was going to ask, is Jamie here?
Jamie's here.
What is the cost to the employee for a flu shot? Is there any?
There is none.
Okay, so
And that is part of,
insurance will take care of that.
well, it's internal. The health department, we're taking care of that as part of our flu campaign.
Okay.
So no reason for people not to get them, is
No,
there?
no.
So
Unless they don't want to get the flu. A lot of people catch the flu.
That's right.
I'll take my chances with the shot. Commissioner Clint, you have anything for department heads?
Yes, I've got some things here. I have approached through the board, through the county administrator, that I'd like to see a consent agenda brought up. Consent agenda, you don't know what it is?
It'd speed things up.
Go to Leavenworth School Board, sit there and watch their consent agenda. Individuals pull things off that they want to discuss, maybe in executive session. I think there's a lot of, and it's your fault, Jim, you know that? I read 54 pages, but it was the wrong day.
It was a week late.
Yeah.
But to read all that information, and it's a vote of 8-0, 8-0, even 6-0, and that's getting, 4-4, yeah, maybe we ought to have an input. But it wouldn't come to us anyway at 4-4, would it? Yeah. So there's some things, and I'd like to hear you tell the county administrator what you like about it, what you don't like about it. But I think it's a good idea, because I want to see us, and it's a thought process. Meeting day, Tuesday only. Now, you hit Wednesday, and that's a problem. You hit Thursday, that's a problem. Friday, can't have a night meeting. At least I can't, because there's a lot of people out here going to go to their kids' games or their grandkids' games. Monday, I guess you could do it Monday. I just sort of, but they brought up Mark. Well, Mark meets at 11:15 and 12:15. That's when their two meetings are.
I think Bob's earlier.
I
He's
have
on
it
workforce. Bob's earlier, aren't you?
8 o'clock.
But is that every month?
No, it's the last week of the month.
Yeah, so that.
So we could change it
We
to
could
last
change
week.
that, but
Do it Thursday.
the thought was, change it for that one day, but you have, and see, Mark isn't that high on my value list. Leavenworth is, but not Mark. But,
I just want to clarify that you're talking about the Mid-America Regional Council.
yeah,
Okay. Just wanna make sure.
that's good. See, you fell, I pointed it to you last time, I think it was Mark, because, you know, you did good, Mark. Dang it, I like it. But, you know, it was gonna be Tuesday, 9 to the regular, what is it, 9 to, what we got on there? I don't even know what it says. Well, we're done by 9:05, and then Tuesday night, from 7 to 9. Seems to be, it fades out every time we do it, but there seems to be something.
I think everybody's, well, I guess the staff would, on Tuesday nights,
I'd like to maybe, back, probably in January, February, we actually discussed this, and I'll just bring it back up. You can go to just one meeting a week. It just requires a home rule resolution. And maybe it's not home rule, maybe it's, but either way, because that rule is not equally applicable to all counties, you can charter resolution, that's what I was looking for, you can charter out of it. And maybe you could do Tuesdays days one week, and then the next week do the evening meeting, and then that way you could avoid the Mid-America Regional Council conflict.
Yeah.
You know, just would throw that out there, something for you guys to consider as we're discussing this.
But, you know, that's like the two gentlemen that talked last week. They were brief to the point.
Mhm.
And that was very good. I really enjoyed that and had their names here somewhere. I wanted to recognize them, get them in the paper. But I guess I can, yeah, he was
They're there.
Mr. Hempel and Mr. Myers.
yeah.
Make sure that's in the paper, that they were brief and to the point, John, you know?
Okay.
But I had a motion here, and I want to move to rescind, I think it was a PUD, on the 15 mini homes to be allowed, I don't know if it can be done, in Leavenworth County. In the south end of, what is it, 2440, is that where the mini homes are going in? I want to do a motion to amend that and retract that motion from allowing them to proceed, and that may be too late. So,
They still have to apply for an SUP.
I know that, but you know, you open up the door and I'll tell you, it's hard to get it locked.
I think Doug come up with a good idea that we can have certain regulations that they have to abide by before we give them
Yeah,
SUP.
That's correct.
And I like that idea. And that's why I voted for it.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, Tyson, you know, I would appreciate it if people quit coming back and talk about Tyson, okay? I will guarantee you that if Tyson comes back, it will be time for everybody to show up and do their thing. I hate to see people wasting their time, and if for some reason the board, because it's 2-1, not revealing it to the public, it will still be revealed to the public because it won't be my vote that says we won't. So I really would appreciate, do whatever you want to do, but it's a lot of time that you spend coming up here every meeting to say, and nobody here today to talk about it, which is good.
Well, I appreciate him showing up.
Well, yeah, but they have lives.
You don't want to preach to an empty church.
You know, yeah, I do. God's there, it doesn't matter, you know. So, but that is a motion I'd like to do to change that, and somebody second it, discuss it, vote, and everybody, how the vote goes, and get it over with, and I'll go on to 3 more items here.
I think.
Or don't second it.
Dies lack of a second.
There you go, that's what I like, a decision maker. Where you been all this time? Approve of an old list of PRPs. I'd like to get a copy of the old list of the PRPs that was removed, that included many, many roads that aren't a part of this, but it was removed for who knows what reason, don't know. So there is an old list around. I got the new list. The new list has roads on it that weren't there.
So I might have that in this mess going back to
I'll
2007.
look in my records.
Okay,
I might have it too.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
I'm sure we have that.
Yeah.
And
By the way, I
transportation.
don't have the new list.
Transportation. You know, we got 2 transportation system here, and I keep bringing it up. Do those two ever get together and say, you know, do we really need 18 buses here and 18 buses there? Somewhere, somebody can come up with the idea and meet with that other entity and say, you know, we need to get this together. Maybe we need to have a central dispatching or something. But you just can't keep accumulating vehicles, and it's a constant thing coming because the state's going to give you this or the federal government's going to give you that. I think we have too many vehicles sitting, and I do see a lot of vehicles sitting in parking lots that are county and mental health.
So you're referring to Council on Aging and Northeast
Yep.
Mental Health?
Northeast Mental Health.
I guess I don't know much about their transportation part.
Right.
I do know a little bit
I
about
know
Council
that-
on Aging.
I know they're busy at
Yep.
doing,
But I go by there and there'll be 8 or 10 every day.
I know, but I don't think they aren't busy every day of the
Yeah.
week. I mean,
But that's why I say, get together. I mentioned the sign thing to Leavenworth has a sign department, county has a sign department. How many sign departments do you need to put out the signs that need to be done? Stop signs are all the same. Yield signs, basically the same.
Yeah.
So how many departments do we need? We need to consolidate the departments, move them down. And the worst thing, and it really bothered me, I had this, it was a briefing, and I'm not gonna mention the name because that person will know who did it. You're all a part of Leavenworth County, all the department heads. 2 department heads have indicated that if it's approved in the budget, they really don't have to come back to us. And I'm trying to remove that. I agree with that. If we approved a vehicle for the clerk and it's in the budget, she shouldn't have to come in and say, Daddy, may I? It's been approved, she should go to Mark and say, I'm going to put in, I know the process, I don't care who takes care of the bid, but there's a bid process. And we're going down the line. But these 2 departments have indicated, if you want to call it controversy, I don't care what you call it, that they may be doing their own thing. And I noticed in a subject matter I got from Mr. Van Paris, I think it was, about adequate money. That is the most broad term I've ever heard of. Well, we're not getting adequate money from our department. Isn't that what the school system for the state is saying? We're not getting adequate money. What is adequate money?
We don't have the Supreme Court going to rule and tell us to give them
Well,
more money, though.
I think you're going to see the legislators tell the Supreme Court where to go. They are the programmers for what is adequate money. We're number 10 in the state education, in the country, education-wise, state of Kansas. So, I would appreciate all department heads understanding that we set the budget. And please, let's don't make it a pushing item. Let's do what's proper. And if we okay the budget, I'd like to see us get to that point, and it should be now. We've approved it. That individual goes to the treasurer, the clerk rather, and goes to Mark, and they say it's in your budget.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go out for the bids.
I agree with that. I don't think if Jamie has money in his budget for a new ambulance, he needs to come up here and ask. If we approved it the year before, I think he should be able to go out for bid and just present the bids.
And he will.
And he should work that through Mark.
Yeah, and you'll make
Not
sure.
Mid-America Regional Council, but Mark Lawford.
Yeah.
I agree, it's just a waste of time. You approved it in the budget, and the department head knows they got the money. Why should they have to come up here and try to sell it to us again? It's just streamlining government.
I like seeing the department.
But does now that going to require a change in our purchasing policy?
It will, and we're actually working on I'm working on some changes to it
Okay.
right now anyway, so I can definitely, the board's desire.
Is that the consensus of the board, or how do you feel about that, Commissioner Holland?
I can put a change in there and then you'll all have to vote to approve that. first.
Right, because like I said, I mean, when we do budget, we all go over, they got a line item there, say they need a pickup or a piece of equipment, or we approve it then.
Right.
So why should they have to come up here and ask to go out for bid? They should be able to go out for bid and then bring us to
As
the board.
long as they go out for bid in a proper
Right.
way.
Follow
Like
purchasing
following
Follow
policy.
the purchasing policy.
Is, Mark, not him,
Mr. Lawfrey?
Mr. Lawfrey, is he looking at the guidelines for a consent agenda? Is that what you're doing? Or do you,
I can be prepared to start adding consent agendas to yours.
very good, appreciate that.
I would like to ask one question, and it's aimed at Glenn Berry, his statement about not putting your address out there. I totally agree, but what I think would better help us understand Leavenworth County residents if they come up, state their name, and say, I'm from Leavenworth County. They don't have to give us their address, but so many people will come up here and say, I don't want to release my address, but they're from Wyandotte County, or they're from across the river.
No, I agree. The problem I see is,
I know, and I understand that.
I can stand up or tell you my name and tell you I'm from Leavenworth County and still be from Missouri.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't check during the meeting
Right.
and verify what I'm telling.
Right.
But at least we have them on record that they're,
I'll tell you why I like that is because I want to know what district you're from.
Well,
That's
they can tell you
what-
that.
Yeah, that'd be good too.
Hey, what part of the county you're
Right.
from?
And that would correct the Platte City problem, right? Because they wouldn't know who, unless they really did research.
Right.
But
I did have something I wanted to say though. If
Go
we're-
ahead.
If we're talking.
we're okay, yeah,
I think, try and come to as many of these meetings as I can, and Mr. Clinton may think I'm wasting my time, because sometimes I don't have a whole lot to say. I usually do, but I'll hold my tongue on some of it, because it's personal to me. But I think when you tell people that that you don't want to hear about Tyson no more, it offends people. It offended me when you said it, because the white people are so hot on Tyson, because they thought it was done in secret. We're trying to make it where it wasn't a secret, and you were on a non-disclosure agreement. I understand what that means. The general public may not. But people sit there and think that you passed a bond, to set aside bond money for that project, but you didn't call it Tyson. You called it something else. So they felt like you did it kind of under the table. You did it in front of them. They sat right here and listened to you guys approve that money, but didn't know exactly what that money was going to go for until after the fact and did a little homework. They're like, well, they're talking about the Tyson project. My God, they just did that. We didn't even know it. I don't think anybody today, I've been here for a whole meeting, and nobody brought up Tyson one time.
And that was good.
But
But I didn't
there's
mean
probably
to,
people here that are just watching what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
That were against the Tyson project.
Well, I
Me
get-
in favor, me for one of those people.
I'll guarantee you, I'm watching it. I am totally watching it. I sat the other night and watched a CD, and I read this whole documentation, and I don't spend time doing that if I'm not watching something. So I should have said, if you would like not to participate, because you're not gonna change me one way or the other.
Right.
You're not gonna change me. And I'm gonna say this, anytime you go to a elected board, you're not gonna change one of them. You will not change one of them. They already have their minds made up. Now, I can say that. They might say, oh, no, you come and you tell me your story, I'm gonna change. That ain't gonna work that way.
It sure looks like it did.
Looks like,
You look at the August 28th meeting in office.
Steve Myers.
Steve Myers.
You want me to take the mic?
No, but people say that. They call and say, why didn't everybody go up to the mic?
This board, all three county commissioners were for the Tyson plan August the 28th, judged by their reaction to speaking about it. And it wasn't until the residents of the county raised hell about it that it got shut down.
Yep. I didn't vote for it, did I?
Well, I think what you said is correct to a point, but I can't come to you to one of these meetings and change your mind, right? I get that. But I get 1,000, 2,000 people show up at a gathering, that might change your mind.
It sure looked like public
It should
expression
have.
changed.
It should. Those are
mind
voting
up there.
Oh, yeah, and your elected officials, your legislators, a whole bunch of them. Oh, my God, this is election time.
Yeah.
You know, that's all they were
And that
looking
shouldn't
at.
have, and that shouldn't have impacted a bit. It should have been about just their own conscience
Yes.
of what the people that voted to put you in position as a collective group have said, we don't want this.
Right.
That changes your mind. It should.
Yep, should.
One-on-one, I shouldn't be able to influence you
Yeah.
at all. But when I group a group of taxpayers together, whether it's your election year or not, if you don't get reelected for 2 or 3 more years, that shouldn't be your main focus. I'm worried about getting reelected. As long as you do things honest and upfront with people, people respect you. Even if you tell them stuff they don't want to hear, people respect you, but tell them the truth.
Well,
So Mr. Holland can speak to that.
and,
He lied to us about giving us a report on Tyson. And then he lied to me about it when he said that he promised it before the money was pulled. You can look at the September 18th meeting, and he lied to me about it last week. That's why we're upset about Tyson. We don't trust what's being told to us.
well, I think this
That
board,
guy named Camera doesn't lie. You can look at it, Mr. Holland.
Can we?
this board would have thought that Tyson would have had to go to planning and zoning and apply for rezoning, and that's when everybody would have got letters and all that. They were very premature in coming out with their announcement and saying they're starting in 90 days.
Well, it's not that we don't
No.
appreciate you changing our mind. We do.
But any other business would have came to planning and zoning and had to apply for rezoning and submit a site plan, and impact studies would have been done, been all kinds of stuff. I can't answer why they came out and said we're starting in 90 days.
Well, because they lied to us.
Well, but anyways. Anything else, commissioners?
Nope.
All right. Anything else in department heads, commissioner?
No.
Okay, we got an executive session, and what would that motion be, Mr. Van?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that you anticipated or have anticipated going into an executive session, the purpose of which is to discuss non-elected personnel. If I could offer the language, it might be that in order to protect the privacy interests of the individual involved, they can go into an executive session pursuant to the provisions of KSA 79-3919 sub B 1, and resume open session in this meeting room at the specified time. You may also wish to specify who will be present.
And who would be present?
I will be asking for 2 executive sessions today. So the first one, I'd like to include the board, myself, and the county council.
Okay.
I'll move so, as he stated.
Second.
Voting,
Aye.
and how many minutes was that?
I'll need 30 minutes.
30 minutes on the first one?
Yes,
Okay, and then we'll come back in and go to the second one?
yes.
Okay. And that would be to leave at 10, begin at 10:20 and come back here at 10:50. Is that your motion, Commissioner Flint?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Voting?
Aye.
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 And thanks for coming, okay?
Let the record show we're returning to regular session at 10:50. No decisions were made. Discussion was limited to non-elected personnel.
I would like to make a statement. I would also like the record to show that information was handed out that was regarded personal records and was asked to have it returned. And Mr. Holland exercised his discretion, or what you want to call it, saying he wasn't going to return that article to the county administrator. So I'd like that entered in the record. If it needs to be in a motion, I'll make that a motion.
Second. Voting.
Aye.
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 Okay. We have another executive session. And what would that motion?
Mr. Chairman, the motion should be in the form of, in the interest of protecting the privacy interests of the individuals discussed, that the board go into executive session pursuant to the provisions of KSA 75-43-19B sub 1 for a period of time of 15 minutes. The present would be the 3 board members, Mr. Lawfrey, County Clerk, and then you resume open session in this room at
Go at 10:55, go at 11:10.
resume open session in this room at 11:10 a.m.
I'd like to question, you're saying the 3 commissioners and Mr. Law,
And the county clerk.
on the county clerk. Do either of the two of you have any reason why county council, and we need to redo Mr. Van Paris. He's
They're
not-
working on that.
They're
I think
working on
Mr. Lawfrey and Mr. Van Paris are working
Okay.
on that.
Is there any reason why the two of you would not?
Commissioner Clemp, I'm free to attend your session if you'd like. There are just other matters I want to address at the same time if I'm not required.
I would like for him to be
That's
there.
fine. I will be present.
Okay. So is that your motion?
That's my motion.
No, second. Voting?
Aye.
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 All right, let the record show that we return to regular session at 11:10. No decisions were made. Topic, or the discussion was limited to the topic. At this time, is there any motions? Would you like for me to make a motion?
Would you make a motion?
I sure will. I'll make a motion to place the Human Resource Department under the direction of the County Administrator, Mr. Lawfrey.
You want a second, or you wanted to die?
I'm looking for a second.
How long can this second last? 5 minutes?
Do you need some discussion?
Second it for discussion if you want to.
A second for discussion.
All right. We have a motion and a second for discussion. Any discussion?
My discussion is there will be no more executive sessions on my watch. I do not appreciate having a spouse who does not reveal to me what's on the school. I totally believe that these executive sessions lead to nothing but the ability for somebody to express what has gone on in that executive session. I see nothing to be gained by executive session. No, I will sit out here or we can discuss it in open. I guess there's nothing that says we have to respect executive session because the state law says, yeah, you can go out and talk about it. And that's true. So to go into an executive session and not be able to say anything because somebody's going to repeat it. Now, there may be somebody out there in the system that likes that. But we have had, still do have a swamp here in Logan County. Everybody, I'm not aware of that. Well, I left my folder down in California. So we got another person taking the hit. He did not have the right to take that information, in my opinion, unless it was leaked from human resource. There have been other leakages. It isn't time to talk about them because they're probably not aware of the leakages that they've had. I know it is not a happy job for the clerk, because in the idiot sheet, that's what all government papers are, idiot sheets. Human Resources is under the general direction of the board. My God, general direction of the board,
That's per contract.
per contract. We assigned her, we didn't assign her, we asked the administrator and the clerk to get together to see how to handle this. And I guess I will violate the rule. Their thoughts, or to put it under Mr. Law. So there must be some intelligent approach to that. So they both are knowledgeable in the fields. Mr. Lawley has some background in human resource. I volunteered. That's where my career is. I'm not sure we're going to do the job. Nah, I guess I'm not. But I don't know.
Any more discussion? You're not ready yet? Still got something?
I'm going to go back and talk to the girl back there. See what she thinks. That's the wise age.
And that's correct.
Getting in the late 80s, they.
That is correct.
Wise capability. Well, it wasn't recommended by both of them. I leave it like it is, so we can always put it back there. And I would like some feedback by the county administrator. Are we now still having a problem with the general direction of the board? Because I don't see why, when an objection, why there was an objection to one being under the clerk probably, and why she wouldn't object, the human resources department wouldn't object being under the county prison, administrator. So they're in that would be crazy. So at this time, I'll second the motion.
Voting.
Go ahead, Rich, just see what it goes.
Aye.
You two, you always win the vote, so you can vote. I have no say in this.
We don't know. Don't be negative on everything.
Nay.
We'll be playing that vote nay. No, we'll die.
Motion passed. Any other business before us this time? The motion was to place the Human Resource Department underneath the county administrator, Mr. Lawford. And Mr. Clem seconded. I voted for, and so did Mr. Clem. Commissioner Holland voted against. Then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, you got that.
All right, voting, aye.